6.5 million people died to COVID, with the largest portion of that, 1.04 million, being in the USA. And businesses have the audacity to complain they're short-staffed. The US dealt with COVID the absolute worst. Worse than anywhere else in the entire world. Businesses forcing employees to come into work while LST sick is a big part of these deaths. They are at least partly responsible. Treat people better. Edit. The effects of COVID go beyond just how many it has taken from us. It has left many disabled and unable to work. As many as 4 million, but likely more than that. These are just the statistics we have. I know actual numbers are likely greater. I was hoping the pandemic would set the precedent of normalizing sick leave and staying away from others when ill, even if you're scheduled to work, and governments offering free vaccines for any and all ailments to anyone who wants them. It should have inspired a workers' rights movement to reduce the gap between rich and poor. Years from now, through a domino effect, it could have led to a mass push to move the economy away from profit-driven and towards a people and health first model. The pandemic was terribly stressful for those first few months, but it could and should have led to a brighter world on the other side. But everything just sunk to worse levels and then stayed there. Not a single lesson was learned. And now I have to listen to customers at work telling me vaccines are poison and the pandemic was faked. We blew it. Super hard. Complete buffoonery. Capitalist would rather self-destruct before they see people happy. Stop it. Yes. COVID is terrible with an unconscionable human toll. But do not let companies off the hook for recording record profits while refusing to pay a living wage. There is no worker shortage when employers offer respectable pay and benefits. Don't forget long COVID, 4 million disabled. I promise you, there were way more COVID deaths than 6.5 million. The US might have handled it poorly, but we did better than most in reporting accurate numbers. COVID really should have pushed laws to require companies to give at least 2 weeks of sick leave per year. It is actually more like 2 million due to red state undercounting. New data shows long COVID is keeping as many as 4 million people out of work. I feel like the impact COVID has had on the workforce is huge. As you said, people died. Sure, some of these people may have been retired, not working. But others were not. Work contributed to deaths. I was working in a manufacturing plant when the pandemic hit. Fairly early on, we had an outbreak. One person died. She also brought it home to her husband, who also died. They were both past retirement age but were still working. COVID has left many people disabled. They may no longer be able to work at all, or may need to work different jobs or part-time hours. There are also people who have had to leave their current job or the workforce as a whole to care for their disabled loved ones. A global pandemic that has left millions dead and millions more disabled has changed many people's mindsets. Many people are less willing to put their health on the line for minimal pay and benefits. Many people are looking for flexibility to better care for their health and their loved ones. It's a shame this didn't spark a revolution. However, I understand during a pandemic why people would have trouble upsetting the status quo when, in the US, health insurance is tied to employment. So many chefs losing their sense of taste and smell. It is so much more than just deaths, and our utter lack of empathy or resources in the US is still a huge contributor. COVID made me realize we are very much still living in the dark ages. We just have better technology now. My previous job didn't even tell us when someone tested positive. They just risked us to see if we'd get sick. This was during peak COVID. Yeah, I know there's privacy, but we were supposed to know if we worked with someone. Not necessarily who. That tested positive so we could then get tested. They didn't tell us just to save a few bucks, as they'd have to pay us 3 days for testing at that time. Let's not talk about this pandemic as though it's in the rearview mirror. Thousands of people are still dying every day. And even that number might be lowballing the actual amount, because jackass conservatives are always downplaying the severity of COVID stupid reasons. United States. No one wants to work anymore. Why can't I find workers? 1 million plus died from COVID and over 3 million retired. There is your missing workforce. The real number of deaths far exceeds the official tally. Look up the excess mortality tracker from The Economist. It should be free to all, and it is. Meticulously researched and very transparent. I was really hoping for the revolution to have occurred back then. My country was first. Once again, region letter U, region letter M. While the US might have the largest reported deaths, I am positive quite a few other countries have quite a lot more than reported. Either on purpose. China, Russia, India, North Korea for example, or Bekassu. They are third world countries with not enough infrastructure to get a real number. I.e., India, Brazil, etc. Just saying. That, and I get the feeling companies aren't even really hiring. I've seen the same jobs listed by the same companies for months. Many unemployed folks like myself have been looking to no avail. Not to split hairs, but I would wager the number is much, much higher. China has reported slightly more deaths than Israel or Switzerland. Two of these countries rank near the top in medical care and have less than 10 million people. The other claims it has less than 1 death per million residents. Yes. Before I moved, I lived with my grandma who fought lung cancer just a few years prior to COVID. They allowed people with COVID to work knowing I have a grandma who would die if she got it. Then they got mad when I quit.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.